Alright, welcome back everyone to OBF1. I missed last round, but we are back for round 5 here around Bahrain for the Sakir Grand Prix. I don't quite know what happened last round, as I did miss a few. Good day, Jonathan, you're missing this one, aren't you? I think I saw you pulled out last minute, unfortunately, which that sucks to see. Yeah, we're here for round 5 around Bahrain. Last time out, I think we saw a new winner in Jesse. I got the race results. We saw wrong one. Yeah, last time out we saw Troy take another win, followed by Mitch, who got promoted to P2, and then Chris getting promoted to P3. But here we are for qualifying of round 5 of the league at the Bahrain Grand Prix. Get everything up real quick and make sure we're ready. Wait for the first drivers to go out. There's a few drivers with medium tyres selected, most on softs. Troye already out. He might have a quali ban or something like that. I'm not quite sure, but I do see a driver out, and there we go. It is... oh no, Jonathan is racing. Okay, I missed that. It is George. Here we go. George on the mediums. First driver out, and he's out on the medium set of tyres, so we'll just be getting a banker in on the mediums. We're going to be looking at around about a 28, low 28 to a high 27. If you can get somewhere towards the mid 27s, you're definitely looking at somewhere towards a pole position time. And next driver has gone out. I think it's our championship leader of XD. He is the current championship leader, continuing his lead at the moment. In the driver's stand, it's XD followed by H Taylor and Short Marcus starting to drop off a little bit, so it's really just coming down to H Taylor and XD. But H Taylor has had a lot of unlucky rounds recently, so it's really just about playing a bit of catch up, getting those good rounds in and not making some mistakes or getting caught in all the mayhem like he has been. I know it's not as easy as just doing that, but if you can avoid all that, it will gain you a whole lot of time. I think El Chicao is making his main debut for the season. This race in the Williams, he won. He went from 7th, I believe it was, to P1 in Tier 2 to take the win around Bahrain, ahead of myself and then Mosh in the Red Bull car. But as George crosses the lines, he will start his first flying lap in qualifying into turn 1, braking just before the 100-meter board, bring it in, just about clipping the curb, bringing it quite tight, bring it just across, don't cut too much because it will invalidate. Use all the exit there, activate DRS as soon as possible. Then it's a quick run, good overtaking up into turn 3, brake quickly down 100-meter board, clip the apex and power right out. I like to cut it a bit tighter for a good exit. Brake just after that curb, bring it in, clip that curb. Sometimes it'll be taken flat out there, not all the time. Here they don't really have a braking point, it's just kind of random each time, but clipping the curb, slowly back on the power and then back on it, coming through the next two corners, braking late, bringing it a bit wide at first and coming in for a late apex. Difficult corner to get right, but if you do get it right, you can be very, very quick. Coming up through the next turn now, after the second DRS zone, braking just before the 50-meter board, clipping the curb, bringing it wide, bring it back flat out through this next corner. Don't touch that curb, you will spin. Braking just as you go to turn it in, clip the curb, don't cut it too much again, will be invalidation. A lot of drivers you see are just doing a bank cut on the mediums, but coming up here now, braking just after the 100-meter board, in between the 150-meter, clipping the curb, straight back on the throttle, and then it's a straight run, activate DRS to the line. It's going to be a 27.6 from George, so a good first lap from him. The next driver to cross the line will be championship leader XD. He's looking decent so far by the looks of things, but if you look at the delta, it looks like he's actually just about down on George. It won't quite be good enough to beat him, and it won't be at 8:28 flat, 4/10 off of George, so George still holds onto that time. Chuck on his outlaps, and the next guy on the fly will be Town in the Mercedes, but it looks like he's just had a rough first lap, so he's turned off ERS and he's getting ready to go again for another hot lap in this race. I don't think we have winner from last round. Oh no, Troyer isn't he? But he's gonna, because he's out, he's gonna be last in this race. So he's gonna be coming up from last. I don't think he's got any points in the championship. I'm not sure why that is, but I'm sure there's a reasoning behind it. But everyone he participates in, he does seem to do quite well. Chuckle goes up into P3 with a 28.4 on a set of mediums. Everyone's split by 4/10 so far, except for Down, who's done a 132.8. But of course, he was calming down, getting ready to go on to a fast lap. CDM currently on a fast lap, activating DRS as it comes to the first DRS zone, or the second DRS zone, if you wish, of the track, as H. Taylor goes to the top, setting the first soft time of a 1:26.2. The quickest soft time in the tier 2 lobby was a 27.1, so it just shows the pace of these guys at 26.2. Mega lap from H. Taylor, and that very much could be a pole lap indeed. Well, of course, we have to see other drivers come across on softs. A lot of them are just doing bankers on mediums to start, but once we see them come across on the softs, I'm sure we'll see those times come through. CDM has just activated ERS. He's not happy with this lap. He's gonna save some ERS and go again later down though. About to come up to the line on his flying lap. He's gonna cross the line. It's gonna be a 28.5 for him. He stays P6 for the time being, but Chuck goes up into P2 with a 26.6, putting himself 1 second ahead of George on the mediums, 4/10 behind H. Taylor, still sitting on provisional pole. XD though, championship leader, comes to piss, and he chucks on a set of softs now, so he's gonna be looking to do a soft lap next, and that'll be one that we really want to watch. Spider Bob, another one on a flying lap. He's been very much in the midfield. We haven't seen him very much at the front, but we've seen a lot of him within the midfield in this race, and we'd like to see him push towards the front and get a good result up the top if we can. He comes through the final corner now. We'll go on to the straight in the Alpha Tauri currently leading the championship in the top split, I believe. I have to double check that, but he goes up to P3 on mediums, the top medium runner with a 1:27.5, so he's put in a bit of practice into this, and he is ready for this. And yes, AlphaTauri leading the constructors by 8 points from what I believe was Ferrari. I saw next, but so keep a lookout for that battle there. Short Marcus, remember, he's third in the championship, so that'll be a lap to watch. He does a 28.3 on a set of mediums. He's just behind his teammate, just under a 10th behind Mr. C. Rees, so he's done a lap of a 53.3, but I highly doubt that was a proper flying lap. I'm sure there was a few mistakes. He just backed off, he didn't use ARS, and he's going out again for a second lap on his medium tyres, trying to push and see what he can put in that Haas. Him and H. Taylor have been pretty good so far this season, scoring some consistent points for the team. It's just been a bit up and down for H. Taylor between what has happened, but as Hella High's been disqualified from the session, not sure how that's happened, so Troyer will actually start from P18 as long as Jesse and KRC set a lap instead of 19th. But no more times have been coming through. Chris did put in a lap of a 27.3 in on a set of softs. I think he's 10th ahead of a medium tyre runner, so he's going to want to improve that lap for a good position. As SpongeBob improves his lap just 1,000th of a second ahead of Chris to do a 27.3 on a set of medium tyres. So SpongeBob, I know I said he was in the midfield, I'd like to see him towards the front. Well, we might just be seeing him towards the front in this race once he jumps onto a set of soft tyres. Car I definitely want to be running on board with right now is XD on the set of soft tyres. He's currently 4/10 up, purple first sector, so he's definitely flying at the moment. The one to keep an eye on. Yeah, he's going to look to make some sort of improvement and head his way towards these guys up front. First lap on softs, his medium lap was a 28th lap. There's roughly a second, I'd say, between the soft and medium tyres on 1 lap pace. So with that, he'll probably do roughly a 27th lap, which won't quite which won't really be that good when you look at it on a set of softs, as Jesse puts in a 26.5, goes P2 for the time being on his set of softs. But actually, of course, coming through, he's about to come through the last corner now. It's all going to be, he's going to want a good exit onto this straight. What's going to be across the line, he's going to want to put in a good lap somewhere in the top 3 at least. It's a 26.4. He puts himself P2 just behind championship rival H. Taylor in the Haas, so good lap there. Anthony's buying the Red Bull, another one on a flying lap. He's currently a 10th up on his soft lap. His soft lap was a 27.3, so he's going to want to improve that one by a fair bit if he wants to be competitive in this session. So there's a fair few medium tyre runners which will be going onto a set of softs soon. One of those which is SpongeBob, which he is currently in now. He's just came in and switched to softs. You know, that's a lap that I want to watch. Seeing he was the highest driver on a set of medium tyres. If mediums are roughly a second slower than softs, then he should put himself around about P2 or even contest for pole in this race. As the Red Bull of Anton Spire will come out now through the final corner. He'll line it up onto the straight. What lap is it going to be from the Red Bull driver as he activates DRS? He's going to come across the line. It's going to be a 27 flat to put himself P5 for the time being, and ahead of 2 or actually quite a fair bit of soft tyre runners, but I think a few of these guys did do the lap of medium, so they're just now on softs. Chris has invalidated his outlap, but he's about to go onto a flyer. For a lot of drivers in the pits, but Chuckle, he's at one now on a set of softs. He's going to want to improve that 28.2. He's going to want to look to get into the 26s. If you want to be competitive in this race, you need to be in the 26s. He's on a set of softs now. He's going to be looking to improve. Last time we commentated, both him and Chuck Brothers were quite competitive in that race, but I don't think they quite finished in a position that they wanted it to be. If I can remember off the top of my head, last race was Abu Dhabi, so yeah. Last race that I commentated at least was Abu Dhabi. Last race was Imola, which I unfortunately was commentating, but I was able to drive for in Tier 2, but coming through the second sector, is about to come past, finish second sector, go into the last sector, but he's got 2 cars ahead of him, whether they're on flying laps or not. He's going to have to be careful. The last thing he wants is to get held up on his first flying soft lap. He's 1.2 seconds up for the time being. 1.2 seconds will find him a 27 flat. Even quicker, he might even put in a 126. Like we said, want to be competitive, you need to put in a 126. Across the final corner, he'll come in the Aston Martin, activating DRS now across the line. It's going to be a 126.8 and a good lap from Charcoal to put him P5 for the time being so far in this qualifying session. Count another one on a set of soft tyres, pushing to the absolute limits there, as you see just how wide some drivers like to run through. They're just barely down on his lap time there, but pushing to the absolute maximum, absolute limit. That's what I'm looking for. Pushing to the absolute limit, trying to find as much time as possible. Every thousandth counts, as we saw in qualifying in Tier 2. Me just being bet by Mosh by just 1,000 for the second to pole position, so showing that every thousandth really counts in qualifying. Whether you think it will or not, it really does. He's just barely down still, so it just shows the consistency of this driver. He's only done a 27.2 so far, but he's got consistency, and if you know anything about racing, you know this consistency is key. He's backed off, he's going to line up the final corner, and he's going to go again. Jonathan Cox, what a lap from Jonathan Cox as he puts in a 26.1 to go provisional pole position. What a lap from the Alpine driver. He's, last race I watched him do, I don't think he participated in Abu Dhabi, but it was Portugal, my first ever race, my first ever commentary race for this league, and he drove absolutely beautifully. Unfortunately though, a wrong strategy change to go into a set of hards dropped him further down the grid that he would have liked after contending for the lead. Dropped him down to, I think it was about bottom of the podium, or like 4th place. Still a good result from Jonathan though, but he knows that he could have contended for the win in the race, and he's looking like he wants to do the same here. Whether people think he can or not, he's definitely looking to do so. But XD still sitting third behind his championship rival. He's going to want to improve. He's slightly up on his time at the moment, pushing like hell in that Ferrari, trying to go put a car or possibly Jonathan Cox in between himself and H. Taylor, but he's still got a few tenths to H. Taylor, let alone to Jonathan Cox. So he's gonna have to find a bit of time here. Coming onto the second DRS straight, he'll activate DRS now. Making just before the 50-meter board, coming through this last sector here. Coming up to the last sector, he'll come now. He's gonna be a 10th up coming through there, so purple middle sector very much here could be on for a pole position lap as Jesse does the 26-1 to get just barely ahead of Jonathan Cox and onto provisional pole position in this race as XD's about to cross the line. As he comes across the final corner, he'll cross the line, he'll do a 26-1 and he'll go P3 just ahead of his championship rival, but just behind Jonathan Cox, very close now in those top three as they come towards the end of the session. Every driver trying to find the maximum in their lap time and do their best that they can. El Chacal on a fine lap, he's 2/10 up currently on what is a 28-2 set on a set of mediums. But I'm sure he would like to be a little bit more up on a 28-2, doing a 27 in tier 2 for his lap. Enough to, he definitely has the pace to at least get in the top 10 for the time being. He's going to look to want to do so. He knows he has the pace, he's just got distracted. He has enough time to do another lap, sorry, in this qualifying session if he does wish to do so, but he doesn't have enough time to come in and put it on a new set of tyres. Across the line though, it's going to be 27-1, that's more the lap he would have wanted. Like I said, puts himself P9 in the Williams, and that is him done for qualifying as he slows down and he will slow down and come into the pits. After that lap, he's done another driver up. Electric Envy, he did his lap on mediums, cross the line, he goes P8 in the Alfa Romeo, just behind his teammate, just barely, with a 26-9. I said if you want to be competitive, you're going to need to do a 26. A lot of these drivers are quite improving by quite a lot, or are finished depending on when they've done their laps. For SpongeBob, he's got one chance at this on his soft tyres. He did his first lap on a set of mediums and he's now on a set of softs. He's got one chance to go higher up in this session. He's definitely got the pace, but if his pace is based off one medium lap, he's not going to be happy with that qualifying position. He needs a good lap here. Drivers going slow after being done on their lap. Yellow flags coming up now. He just comes past the second DRS straight. He's got the high team of Red Bull ahead of him. Coming into the last sector now. He's a second up on a 27-3. He could be on for pole position very much here. He's got a lot of pace. A 26-3 will put him P5 for the time being. But a lot of drivers are starting to improve now. Across out of the final corner, he'll come across the line. It's got to be a good lap for him as he activates the DRS across the line. It's 26-2 and he just barely misses out on pole position, but he's not done yet. He's still pushing. There's still time left in this session. He's left enough time for 2 runs. He needs to find just over an extra 10th to clip Jesse for the top spot in this this qualifying session. As qualifying comes to an end, these drivers will be finishing now. Next driver across the line will be Envy. Will he improve? He doesn't improve his lap. He is done in qualifying. Then you got the likes of CDM who spun it, so he's out in qualifying. You then got Short Marcus who's invalidated, so he's out. You then got Mr. C Reese, so he'll be the next driver to cross the lines. And I think behind him is XD, but XD is done in qualifying, so that would actually be Chuck Bravas behind him. But Mr. C Reese is going to come through the final corner now. He's going to come across the line. He's done a 28-2 so far, so he's going to be looking to improve. He does a 27-5, puts himself P14. Chuck doesn't improve. He stays put where he is. Anthony Spy is done on his lap. We're going to keep an eye on SpongeBob here. He could be improving. He's had a purple middle sector, but he invalidated, so it'll be P4 at best for SpongeBob, unfortunately. And driver still on a fine lap though is Jonathan. Is he going to clip it for pole position across the line? He does with a 26 flat. What a lap from Jonathan. He takes back that pole position from Jesse. He says, "That is my mate. Get lost. Give me that." right there, but H. Taylor says no thank you, and it gives a 25.8. What a lap. Only driver to go into the 25s, and Jonathan has got to be gutted after I'm sure he would have thought he had pole position there. Jesse though still won on a flying lap, but he's invalidated, so that is very much there, the grid for this qualifying session. What a qualifying that was. H. Taylor takes pole position. XD won't be happy with that one, ahead of Jonathan Cox in the LP. Great lap from him. Jesse P3, followed by XD P4, SpongeBob P5, George P6, Chuck P7. Yes, but that is qualifying done, as Antonis does come into the pits. He's pulling the bits, and that is qualifying over. I reckon the George Russell helmet here is the hash driver, I'm sure, to recognise Sir Frank Williams, as my TV has issues and it turns off every time we go into a loading screen. Only in this game though. Okay, there we go. Anyway, with that done, we got our grid is set. H. Taylor takes pole position ahead of Jonathan Cox, who finishes off the front row. Jesse starts row 2, followed by XD, then SpongeBob row 3, followed by George. Chuck Bravis takes up fourth row in P7, with Chuckle Bros taking up finishing off the fourth row in P8. Anthony's P9, and then Chris P10. So with qualifying done, we'll now move on to the main part of the weekend, the race. No points come from qualifying unless it's a sprint weekend, but it ain't, so all the points will come from the race indeed, as we wait for everyone to be ready to go. Loading to the race, everyone will get their setup sorted, all that kind of stuff, and we'll wait as we get ready to go. The optimum strat around here will be a simple soft to medium strat. You do have to save the tyres quite a lot, but as long as you only did one flyer on your tyres, it should be possible. Even if you didn't, it's roughly 10 to 12 laps on a set of softs, followed by 17 to 19 laps on a set of mediums, or reverse it around and do it the other way. It is definitely possible. Whether drivers want to follow that or they want to just play it safe and go into a set of hards, we'll see. We saw an amazing driver, Chikel Seville, do the same here. He decided to go into hards on the safety car only 5 laps into the race, and went 24 laps on a set of hard tyres to win the race. So beautiful stuff there, as we'll see 5 red lights. H. Taylor from the lead. And away we go, Fire and away we go. H. Taylor gets a good start from Jonathan P2, but XD pulls the inside. He's going to look to get ahead of Jonathan Cox, and straight into P2, right behind his championship rival on the inside. Oh, it is very, very close, but Jesse P4 and XD makes his way up into P3. He's going to look to get past Jonathan, because he needs to get behind his championship rival. He needs to make sure that he's minimising the points that he gains on him, or even gaining more points on him. George stays P5, and it was a good qualifying session from the LP drivers to get P2, P5. So good start from them, as we see CDM spin around. He's dropped down to last place. He stays last. One driver to keep an eye on though will be Troye, who will be making his way back through the field. There we go. But nonetheless, we've got to keep an eye on these drivers. We got Electric and me on only driving the top 10 at the moment on a set of medium tyres, followed by Elchkel, next driver on mediums, Marcus on mediums, Hella High mediums, KLC mediums, Troye mediums, and CDM mediums. Every other driver is on a set of softs as we move back towards the front of the grid to look at just how close these guys are. Of course, it is the first lap, but these guys are mighty close. Look at Jonathan all over the back of H. Taylor. He definitely wants to challenge this guy for the win. He wants to win his first race, get his first win of the season. H. Taylor taking the fast lap on the first lap, of course, saving he was in the lead in the Haas car, but Jonathan could not get past that time around. We'll have to wait another lap or wait until DRS is enabled. As Towner's came in, he must have some sort of damage, and he is pinning onto a set of hard tyres. The Hash driver, but he's stuck in the pits. I don't know what's going on here. He's not moving. Mr. C Reese is DNF, and Town is just sitting in the pits. He's not coming out. So Town has he's parked in the pits, and he is out of this race. But Jonathan struggling to hold on to the back at H Taylor now. He's just starting to pull a gap to the Alpine driver next day on the back of him, trying to get past. You can see just how close these guys really are. SpongeBob, another driver to keep an eye on. But like I said, keep an eye on Troy. He's now up to P13, the 4th driver on a set of mediums. He's going to be looking to get even higher so far in this session. But every driver is going to be looking to not extend track limits too much, not to get those 3 seconds that everyone dreads, and to make sure they don't touch the curbs too hard, because these curbs can be quite slippery around Bahrain, and the last thing you want is to end your race with a spin. But as we come on to lap 3 now, DRS is enabled, and we should start to see some overtakes, as Jonathan is within DRS range at the moment of H Taylor. As they come up to the DRS zone, they won't get DRS until they come up to the second DRS zone of the lap. Oh, never mind, that must be a different track. He does have DRS, and he'll now be able to stay right on the back of H Taylor, whether he chooses to make an overtake on him or not. We'll have to wait and see. But everyone's switching up and down the grid. It's having a little malfunction here. It's probably just my internet, but it's just jumping up and down at the moment. We'll move back towards the front as it fixes itself. H Taylor leading from Jonathan still as it comes to the next DRS zone. There's a little bit of a mistake from H Taylor there, and Jonathan's going to activate ERS and DRS and try to get close to him, but it's not going to be enough through there, and we'll have to wait till the next zone. Because H Taylor not using too much ERS, he's playing it smart. He's choosing to save ERS. I did the same in my race. I chose to save ERS, just sit back for the timing. And if people want to go aggressive and overtake you with ERS, you chuck in behind them and you save ERS behind them. There's no need to use it too much unless you are overtaking. As we see Electric Envy start to drop down the field, as he's had some sort of issue. He's gone off track, and so have both the Aston Martins. Shuckle is out, and I think that is the safety car. Sean Marcus, P3 in the championship, out. XD has left the session. What is going on? 5 seconds given to Chuckle Bravas, but he is out of the race. H Taylor apparently also out of the race, so a lot is happening. What is going on? A lot of things happening at the moment, and it's been a massive incident and a lot of drivers out of the race. Now, it does promote Jonathan though to the lead ahead of Jesse, so H Taylor has now found himself out of the Grand Prix round. Oh, never mind, we are red flagging. Yeah, we are red flagging the session. I think that's what I've just read. The session is being red flagged, so yeah, the session is being red flagged, so if you can hear the stream, please retire from the race or jump off track due to some sort of glitch within the lobby, and the race will be restarted and we'll get back underway later on. Everyone's had to retire, so red flag. The session will be restarted unfortunately, so that will give some drivers another chance into T1, but gotta love this game sometimes with its glitches. I'm used to having glitches in games I play GT Sport most of the time. But yeah, we just gotta skip ahead of all this. Sorry, just gotta get a picture of the qualifying for these guys.
That's a bad omen if I have won that race. Emoji rolling on the floor laughing.
Yeah, imagine you had just been gifted the win there. They just said, yep, continue on. Alright, there we go. Okay. Imagine they're restarting the lobby. God, I love this game and its glitches sometimes, but whilst we're waiting for the lobby to restart, we got highlights of the tier 2 race, which we can just chuck on whilst we wait. Gotta love this race sometimes. Yeah, only 12 drivers were in the race, unfortunately, but it was a great race. We started P2 just barely behind Mosh. But yeah, I'll let the highlights talk for itself. It will just be of us, unfortunately, but it's what it is. Oh, there we go, just being invited back to the lobby. I really want to watch this highlights here. Well, I can watch those later. We've been invited back to the lobby. So, that's right, we'll get this race back underway shortly. Everyone will quickly join the lobby, and then we'll get it back underway. We won't have to go through quality again. The grid will be set from the qualifying we already did. We'll just have to restart the race from scratch, which unfortunately there's a bit of time, but it means every driver should quite easily be doing the soft to medium strat, saving that their tyres are going to be fresh, both their mediums and their softs, so they shouldn't have any problem doing a soft to medium strategy around here. Oh yeah, shit, I'm in the race. Fuck. Shit, I forgot the rest of the qualifying. There you go. we'll just wait around for timing. We're going to be waiting here for a little bit for the race to get back underway, but for the time being we will we'll just have to sit here for a little bit. But it's a good restart. But yeah, we do have from the qualifying session, in case you guys forgot, we have H. Taylor, who got pole position, followed by Jonathan Cox, finishing off the front row. Jesse P3, followed by XD. And we had SpongeBob, George, Chuckle, Anthonus by Chris, Electric Envy, L. Chical, Town, Mr. Series, KRC, Short, Marcus, CDM, Troye, and then IRS Hella High, finishing off the grid in P19. It won't be long now before we get back underway. Just gotta wait for these drivers to get back in. Right. Just waiting for a few drivers to sort out lobby issues, and then we'll be able to get back underway in this race. Alright, I don't know if we're missing one. It was the 19 before, but one driver may not be making it back. I don't know. I think, yeah. Can't quite point out what driver that does happen to be, but yeah, it does look like we're missing one driver. We got I'm sure Short Marcus will be happy with that, saving both Aston Martins DNF'd out of the race towards the end there, the lobby glitching and all. And that's the last thing you want as a championship leader, or in the championship fight. Sorry, being P3 in the championship himself. Alright, well, you know, I'm there planning on readying up. I'll try to keep you guys as updated as possible. We're just seeing if there's any last minute invites needed, but it doesn't seem like it. So one driver is not coming back into lobby. Unfortunately, I don't quite know who it was. It would be the other, we didn't have a Red Bull last time, so it would be the other Alfa Romeo. The other Alfa Romeo was Well, who was in the other Alfa Romeo again? Shit, I forget who was in the other Alfa. That's right, Electric Envy, so that's who we're missing. Electric Envy is the only person not in here, but I think they just must be missing out in that case. Then if they can't reply, then it just mean that they won't be able to race, unfortunately. Just how it has to work. We can't wait forever just for one driver, but it is what it is. Alright, here we go. We are readying up now and we are getting back underway in this race. It's time to get back underway for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Everyone in the top 10 will have to start on a set of softs. Everyone else has a free choice of tyres. Everyone in the top 10 qualified on the softs. So if any of them do not pick the soft tyres, they will be called out and they will be given a 20-second time penalty, just to be noted. And here we go, everybody is ready and we are loading in now to the to Bahrain for the Bahrain Grand Prix for round 5 of OBF1 Tier 1. If it's anything like the Tier 2 races, it should be entertaining. As long as there's no lobby glitches again, it should very much be a fun race to do. Wait for drivers to load in now and then we'll get ready to go. Like I said before, I imagine the strategy will be with the top 10 having to start on the soft tyre, will be soft to mediums for the top 10, and then everyone outside the top 10 will go the alternate strategy of mediums to softs. It would just be the smart choice to go. Obviously, if you're in the top 10, you can't do much unless you want to two-start the race or you want to go into a set of hards instead of mediums. I wouldn't recommend doing either of those. But if you believe that is the better strategy choice, then I ain't going to stop you from going that way, as we'll wait now for drivers to get everything sorted, get their setups on, get their tyres and all that stuff. Okay. Alright, here we go. We'll get ready to go. So let's hope no one forgot their setups. Let's hope everyone put their setup on. They got the right tyres on. Everything is good. Unfortunately, lobby glitches, it does make that hard to remember that stuff. But 5 red lights. They're on and away we go in this race. It's a good start from H. Taylor, from Jonathan, but it's an even better start behind for Jesse. It's a pretty good start from XD, but you see there, Chuck further behind. Chuck will go down the inside of a few drivers there, but it is still H. Taylor from Jesse who gets ahead of Jonathan Cox off the start. XD stays P4, but he's going to be looking for a move on Jonathan now. But it's not quite looking like he's going to get past this time around. He's going to have to sit by another time. But Troye, a driver who we thought was going to be coming through the field, has some sort of issue there, and he drops all the way back down to P18. I didn't quite see it. I don't think this is still what the top 10 was at the time. but it is still H Taylor from Jesse, from Jonathan Cox. But H Taylor already got Jesse outside a second gap, which is huge for him. If he can pull outside a second gap, just run away. That's all he's gonna want in this race, of course. It's looking like every single driver has picked the respective tyre that they need to. The only one inside the top 10 at the moment didn't actually start inside the top 10. So every driver has scored the right tyre that they needed to go. But Taylor comes across the line and set the fastest lap, of course, but Jesse isn't going to let him run away that easily. He's going to need to use ERS in these next few laps to stay within DRS range, because if he doesn't, he's going to become under threat from Jonathan. That's the last thing he wants. Jonathan's a quick driver, and when you're under pressure from another driver, it's not easy to hold position, hold your racing line and stuff like that. But there is a driver to the inside, and it is George on the inside of SpongeBob. He tries to get it done. He'll get the power down nice and easily there, but of course it just doesn't work out through there unless you get the perfect run. It's not going to happen, and he stays behind for the time being, actually all over the back of Jonathan, though. He's going to be trying to do what he can. Cal leading the medium tyre runners, so he's doing very well in his Williams in order to be leading the mediums. Of course, he's dropped out of the second range of all these soft tyre runners, but that is expected. You're going to start to see a pack grow of all the soft tyre runners and all the medium tyre runners split into two different groups, because that's just usually how it splits out. But Jesse just barely still holding on to DRS range of Taylor right now, not holding on by very much, but that is the case at the moment. He is just about holding on, luckily for him. As he comes onto the third lap now. The third lap means DRS. That's going to be music to his ears, but he needs to waste ERS in order to stay within DRS range. But Jesse goes quick, sets the fastest lap of the 29 flat so far in this race, besting H Taylor. But H Taylor using everything to keep him out of DRS range, and he's managed to do it. So H Taylor done that perfectly, and it looks like Jonathan may not even be within DRS range, and he actually isn't, which means XD's going to be able to pressure Jonathan. So although Jesse didn't quite get H Taylor's DRS range, Jonathan hasn't managed to get Jesse's. So H Taylor done well to keep him outside a second. To get the start that he did has allowed him to pull this gap and pull the driver behind out of DRS range. But of course he's pushing out, and he's might just about get DRS. It looks like he just about did. There's a yellow flag behind, there's a driver around, and it's Elch Cow. He was leading in the mediums, but he no longer is. That's unfortunate for the Williams driver coming from tier 2. To do that would have been amazing, but unfortunately he has dropped down with Chris having done the same. Jesse though within DRS range, so although H Taylor kept him out for a little bit, not anymore, can say that much. And now he's going to be right under pressure from Jesse, but Jonathan couldn't do the same and close up onto the back of Jesse, so he's still going to be under pressure from XD, which will be one to watch. XD is going to be looking to get closer to championship run with H Taylor, see what he can do from there. Stuart Marcus in P11, he had a really good round one coming from those lower positions to win the race at Silverstone, and then round 2 he wasn't able to attend. Round 3 I think it was quite good for him from what I can remember, so he's going to be looking to get further up after missing a round. Of course, when he missed a round, that was when XD won and took that championship lead off him. H Taylor has gotten quite unfortunate, getting taken out at both Portugal and then get taken out in qualifying at Abu Dhabi. But there you go, it's disqualification for Chris being parked in a dangerous location, and he'll finish P18 in this race with that, as he was confirmation that he is disqualified from the session and out of this race. But Jesse getting closer and closer to H Taylor with that DRS. If I was Jesse, I wouldn't be using DRS. I'd be trying to stay behind, save what I can, pull away from the likes of Jonathan and XC, and just focus on your own pulling away from those guys, getting your front two into a world of your own, and then making the overtake when that happens. But of course, at the time, they've got quite good gaps to cars behind, so it's not like it's required for them to pull away, or it's crucial that they do so. But it would of course help in this race as he activates DRS. Look at just how close this driver is. He's looking to the inside. Under brakes he'll come, and he's not quite going to get the move done. But someone who will try to get the move done is XD, but he's just about going to miss him, and he's not quite going to get the likes of Jonathan there. But of course another DRS will come. Jonathan will go defensive, but he's through into P3 in this race, but I spoke too soon. Jonathan's back down the inside, and Jonathan holds on to P3 position, and this is music to the ear of the leaders as they are just able to run away even more than they already have in this race. Not what they want to be doing right now, as Troy A has found himself fighting Mr. C. Reeves for P14, and he finds himself ahead and up into P14 in this race, trying to fight his way back through the grid up into a decent position in this race. H. Taylor though still leads from Jesse, from Jonathan, XD and SpongeBob. XD all over the back of Jonathan though. I'm sure that overtake's going to happen eventually. If I was Jonathan, I'd let XD pass and I would sit behind him, try to stay the ERS, because when a driver's faster, there's no point fighting them and losing yourself time when they could quite easily push towards the drivers ahead and help you out that way. But through the last corner, Jesse will come onto the straight. He's quite close, so he might be able to look at getting a move here done on H. Taylor. Will he quite get anything done here? Activates the RS. He isn't using ARS, so he isn't pushing too hard for this move. He's closer to the back of him. He's got to go to the inside. Down the inside goes Jesse, under brakes, and he's through up into the lead of this race. As the same happens behind, as XD tries to go for a move on Jonathan. He'll get DRS here. The move should be quite easy to corner, using a bit of ERS. Jonathan using everything he has under brakes. Jonathan is going to hold on to P3 again for another lap, and XD will sit behind and you'll wait again till later on in this race. But Jesse has now taken the lead of this race in his Mercedes and showing how good his pace really is. It's Jonathan and XD are trying to close up within DRS range, and they're just about there. If they weren't fighting the T1, they could very much have DRS, and that's what I meant about not fighting. Fighting is costing them time. It's meaning that these guys ahead of them can pull a gap, and of course they're struggling to do so at the moment, so it's not like it's being very effective. So they might as well fight, but if I was them, I'd wait until I was in DRS range to properly fight, whereas at least if I was Jonathan, because being Jonathan, he needs that DRS in order to prevent XD from going for too many overtakes. But look just how close he is. 2/10 is the gap. But Jesse gives position to H. Taylor by looking as he drops back behind, and H. Taylor, I imagine, will have the DRS. Neither of them have DRS by looks of things. Actually, never mind. Jesse does. Jesse will come up. He'll try again to the inside. Into T1. Inside line. Jesse through. But H. Taylor holds it around the outside. Jonathan holds on to XD for the time being. Coming out of that activate DRS. He has DRS. It does go to Jesse. Jesse on the outside of H. Taylor under brakes. And around he'll try the outside line here. It can be quite good, but not good enough. H. Taylor is going to look to hold on to the lead, but they're still going side by side for the time being. And H. Taylor holds on to the lead of this race as SpongeBob finds his way ahead of XD. Meanwhile, as Jonathan holds on to P3, but look at that, he's within DRS range again, and that is music to Jonathan's ears. He's back within DRS range, and he's not going to have to worry too much about the drivers behind. But look how close H. Taylor and Jesse are. They are absolutely going at it at the moment. DRS is going to be activated, and he's going to be able to go for another move here possibly. He's going to activate DRS, not going to use any ERS, so he'll sit behind for the time being, but he's actually looking to the inside anyway. Under brakes, nothing's going to happen at the moment. But George sitting with the penalty, not what he would have wanted in this early stages of the race. No one else with the penalty. He's the first one to get one. No one's pitted yet except for Hella High, who would have gotten damage with an early incident. But these guys right up front now are at trouble with third to sixth, closing up onto the back of him. And it's now a battle from first to sixth for the lead. DRS will be activated by Jesse on H Taylor. He'll go to the inside. Under braking, when is going to be braking just at the 100-meter point, and he's straight clean past H Taylor. No problems into T1, but there is T2. Of course, H Taylor will have DRS to respond to Jesse's move. DRS is not going to use any ERS. Neither is Jesse, and Jesse's going to hold on to the lead of this race for the time being. And no further moves happen behind, but the Alpine pair probably looking the best at the moment. Both sitting in this top 6 battle, so they can both finish anywhere within the top 6 as long as they stay here. But of course, George sitting with the penalty, so that's another factor to look into. But of course, it keeps it clean. A lot of these drivers could end up with penalties as well. There were a fair few drivers in Tier 2 who ended up with penalties. Only a few didn't end up with corner cutting penalties, but nonetheless, Jesse actually pulling quite a gap to H Taylor at the moment, so he's actually showing some good pace on this lap. I wish I could see what their tyres were looking like and how well they were saving them, but it can't be too bad on Jesse's behalf if he's managing to pull that sort of gap early. Jonathan's going to be looking to try to do something on him, but there's been an incident there, and Shuckle Bravas is around in his Aston Martin, and he's dropped down all the way down to P12 on a set of softs. Not what he would have wanted. Unfortunate for him, but he's going to put his head down and try to push back towards these guys, as Troyer will probably end up getting past him here on the inside as George comes in for an early pit stop off a set of softs. Has he bumped his front wing there? Does he need a front wing change, or is it just an early decision? He's two-stopping the race. George is two-stopping the race. It's purposely gone into a set of softs there, and not what Jonathan would have wanted from his teammate. Poor decision, in my opinion, from George to pit onto another set of soft tyres and two-stop this race. Not a good decision, as it's quite a simple one stop, but Jesse's still leading from H Taylor, from Jonathan, SpongeBob and XD. Not where he wants to be in this race. He needs to be closer to Taylor, although they're close within, like, when you look at the time sheets, in positions wise they're not that close. H Taylor's in second, XC in fifth. The points between them, I believe, is 8 points. So if they do finish where they are, Jesse has the fastest lap, so it won't be a problem regarding any of them. But if they do finish where they are, I think they will very much, actually. It means that H Taylor will take the lead by 1 point. So actually just needs to get a position, limit the points. It's clear that H Taylor has the pace over him this race. Just limit the points between him and just do that. But I'm surprised to see Jesse now into the pits, Jonathan into the pits onto hard tyres. It was very much a simple soft to medium strategy, but these guys are going for a set of hard, so very surprising. If these guys play that right and they go into a set of mediums, they very much could run away for position. It doesn't seem like the mediums will last, but they will last, and the softs too, they could last much longer than what they have chosen to do so on them. Especially when they're fresh. But SpongeBob now has the job of holding on to H Taylor. It was easy holding on to a different driver with DRS, but now he's going to hold on to H Taylor. H Taylor, the pace he has, could very much run away from SpongeBob here, break him out of DRS, and then try to pull a gap. Because of course the likes of Jonathan and Jesse are going to be undercutting the hell out of them. George has found himself ahead of his teammate on a set of soft tyres because he is two-stopping this race. If there's a safety car, this could be the perfect strategy for him and be amazing, but without a safety car, it's going to be a struggle to get anything good out of this, of course. But of course, up front, it'll be interesting to see whether these drivers come in now to cover off those who just came in, and they do. H Taylor in, H. Taylor covering up those who just pit. He will have to go into a set of hards too, I imagine. I would still choose a set of mediums at this point in the race. It wouldn't, unless it was lap 9, I would choose a set of hards. But at this point, I'd still choose a set of mediums, and he has chosen a set of mediums. H. Taylor doing the soft and medium strategy, which I still believe is possible around here, and he's going, whether he gets jumped by these drivers, I don't know. His teammates fighting fighting an Alpine and Jesse as they go past him, and they do in fact jump H. Taylor into the first quarter, and Jonathan might just do the same, as Jonathan's going side by side with him. 2 hash drivers, 2 Alpines, and a bit of contact there. Is being held up, and absolute true damage. I do not know, but Mr. Series trying to hold up Jonathan for his teammate, but it doesn't look like it's worked out too well. There might quite be damage. I don't think that Alpine car with a bit of contact, but these 2 hash cars absolutely going at it with this Alpine, trying to do what they can to get past. H. Taylor can't spend too much time behind him, because the more laps that go on, the more those mediums and hards are going to even out, and the more he's going to start to struggle. But we can't keep our eye off the lead. SpongeBob and XD still in the lead. You can still probably go, if you've handled your soft tyres nicely in this race, you can still probably go 1 or 2 more laps. I would only go 1 more, but if you've held them nicely, you might be able to go an extra one on that, as Chuckle's the next person to get a quarter cut penalty, getting 3 seconds to his name. Will XD come in? Yes, he does. SpongeBob stays out for 1 more lap. XD comes in. He'll pit onto a set of mediums, I imagine, maybe onto a set of softs. It is medium tyres. This team are getting ready, so you can see those who stayed out a little bit longer going onto a set of mediums, which is probably the right strategy. They are on the mediums, they're out of the pit box, and they'll come back onto track now. But where they come out is what is important in this race. We can't keep our eye on those medium tyre runners too, coming through on a set of softs. Jesse jumps him, H. Taylor jumps him. Oh, but it's going to be close between some of these guys, Jonathan Cox, H. Taylor and XD, but they do all come out in respective positions. But this is great for Jesse. He's got a good gap on those hard tyres to H. Taylor. He's still in the net lead here, so he hasn't got much to worry about. So you got these 3 drivers on their medium tyres, the lead medium tyre runners. You got to worry about them, because they're not going to be pitting for a few laps. They're not going to be pitting for a few laps yet, and when they do pit, they're going to be onto a set of softs, so they're going to be absolutely flying. If they go into a set of hards, they've screwed their race here. But if they start on mediums, I bet you they're going to be going into softs. It'd be stupid to start on mediums and go into hards in such a race when the soft to medium strategy is possible. There's another car, and it does look like it's Chuckle Bros again, just not having the race he would want. So short Marcus being P3 in the championship, but only 14th at the moment, as SpongeBob comes in. Very slow pit entry, but playing it safe, making sure he doesn't extend too much. But Troye, after having a unfortunate start to this race, has climbed himself back on a set of medium tyres, and he's still going to want to try and do something in this race. The current net lead is George, but of course when George has another pit stop to do, so it will be given to Jesse. Where's SpongeBob going to come out? He's going to come out just behind Jonathan Cox, and just ahead of Mr. Series, still on his old medium tyres, but holding them nice and well, as the 2 medium tyre runners up front are going out of Town and KRC. They were going out of for a little bit. Town going to be looking to hold up the drivers so that his teammate can get through, as H. Taylor picks up a 3-second. That could be crucial in this race. H. Taylor picking up a 3-second time penalty could be absolutely crucial. That could make or break his race. But we'll have to see which one it does do, but it very much could make or break. I mean, I highly doubt it will make his race, so that could very much ruin his race. But he could still do something. And Jesse surprisingly holding on to George. Meanwhile, even though George is on a set of soft tyres, so he's doing very well here. Troye closing up to those guys on a set of mediums, and this is where these guys are going to struggle. They've now found himself in the DRS train on the back of these medium tyre runners. But of course, these medium tyre runners are the lead medium tyre runners. When they pit onto a set of softs, that a whole pit stop isn't going to cover that, as Town comes in early off of mediums. He's going to be onto a set of hards. not the strategy you would have wanted. KRC will stay out though. Same with Troye and George couldn't quite get it done there, and he may be able to get it done coming up here if he gets a good enough exit on his soft tires. He's going to activate DRS. No ERS being used. Troy using what he can to the inside goes George. Up the inside he goes on the AlphaTauri driver, and George will find himself up into P2 in this race, but the net lead still nonetheless, and Troye will try to help find his way towards KLC using the DRS off of George, but Jesse looking for a half move there, having a little look on the inside, but that didn't quite work for him, so he's going to have to sit behind and try again maybe later on, but of course he's in a DRS straight behind these guys now, so it's not looking too good for him here. Troye has a little look there, but it's not quite going to work on the soft tire runner. But look just how close these guys are running to the back of Troye. They very much could get past, but they need him out of DRS range. That DRS is helping him an absolute treat. He's gonna, I imagine Troye will use what he can. He is using what he can to stay ahead and stay in DRS range coming through here, but George has now found himself in DRS of KRC. There's got to be some sort of move happening here soon. He activates DRS. He doesn't have much ERS to play with, whereas KRC does have a little bit more. But further behind, Jesse going for a move on Troye. 3-1 into T1. They are 3-1. Oh, how have they kept that clean? H. Taylor finds himself up to P3 from P5 in one corner, but Jesse's going to return to position. Oh, there's a bit of contact on the side there. He's got DRS. Jesse doesn't have much. He's trying what he can, and what H. Taylor finds himself from P3 from P5 to P3 in just one corner, going 3-1 into T1, and Troye goes from P3 to P5. So wow, 3-1 into T1. How entertaining is that got to be? But George all over the back of KRC now. Where will he try this move on the McLaren driver? He will activate DRS out of the last corner with the ERS. He's going to look to get past it. To the inside he goes on the McLaren, and it'll be quite a simple overtake after the second DRS. But it always very much cut that corner. That's got to be a warning there for the LP driver, but nonetheless he's through into P1 in this race. But H. Taylor all over the back of KLC now. He's going to be looking to get moved on. He's on a set of mediums going to the end. Although George is in the lead for the time being, he's still got a full other pit stop to do. He'll be ahead of these medium tire riders with a second pit stop, but he won't. But he's going to have to make a lot of ground to the next car. To these guys who run mediums now, he's gonna have to make a lot of ground to the hard and medium tire runners now, as Jesse's on the inside of the McLaren driver. Down the inside he goes, and both Jesse and H. Taylor just like that up into P2 and 3 this race, and the lead medium driver KRC dropping back as XD has managed to get past Troye as well. George is now dropped to P2 as there's a little mistake there. He's on the inside of H. Taylor. He might try something through here, but it's not quite going to work. He'll stay behind for the time being. He runs a little bit wide there, so it's gonna hurt him a bit against Jesse. Jesse might try something there, but he doesn't. He sticks behind for another lap, and he'll have to wait a little bit to get something done again. Chuck Brothers gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings for corner cutting, so that's going to be unfortunate for him. But look, these two leaders both have penalties, so this could be huge. Jesse, with the penalties, will still be leading this race, but because he's on the hard tires, H. Taylor has opted for the medium tires. He and XD are the ones that opt for the mediums, and mediums would have been my call too, if I'm being completely honest. SpongeBob actually is another driver who's opted for the medium tires. Will Troye let his teammate through on the faster set of mediums, play the team strategy? He does indeed. He pulls over, he lets off, lets his teammate through, plays the team strategy so that his teammate can go on and go and try and get some better points than what he can for the team. But George is in now for his second stop in this race. Just how far will he end up dropping back? Coming to the pits, he's onto a set of mediums now, to the end. He's got 12 laps now left, or 13 laps now on the mediums to do what he can in this race. He'll come out almost dead last, but remember he's on a set of fresh medium tyres. Medium tyre runners will be going into soft split. He'll at least get the jump on a lot of these guys when it does happen. We'll have to keep an eye on him as he makes his way back through the field. H. Taylor now though has pulled Jesse outside second, but Jesse under attack from XD on his medium, so XD could very much still win this race. Where is XD came from with this? XD out of nowhere is now P3 and his championship rival H. Taylor P1. If they finish P1 and P2, they'll be tied going into the next race, which will be absolutely insane for these top two drivers. Both fantastic drivers showing what they're capable of. Of course, doing what they can in these races, but H. Taylor not running away as much as I thought he would do, but he's got him outside DRS. That's all that matters. But of course, with him being outside DRS, that allows XC to get past and XC to challenge him. So H. Taylor will have to do some thinking here, whether he maybe tries to give Jesse DRS so that XD can't get past, or whether he lets them fight and tries to pull away the lead. It doesn't look like he's going to give XD DRS or anything like that, but XD is all over the back of Jesse. He's going to have a run. He's going to use DRS into turn 3. Under brakes they'll come, and XD quite easily into P2, and he will now head towards championship rival H. Taylor for the lead in this race. He's sitting just outside DRS range, so we'll have to wait and see what he can do. Jonathan Cox still sitting behind Troye, but Troye is still yet to pit. He's the lead medium tyre runner who's still out there, but you can see a lot of drivers coming in for their soft tyres now. George, got to keep an eye on him. He's coming onto the back of town. He's on the set of hards. He pit earlier. They're going to set of hards. Joe Marcus also another driver on a set of hards, so you got to keep an eye on these drivers. You can't take your eye off them because you know something may happen if you do so. XD still trying to close in on DRS of championship row H. Taylor, but he still can't quite do so. Jesse might just about try to come back at him in this race. Jonathan Cox finds himself up into P5 of this race. There's an issue from Troye. Troye's around. He must have hit the curb there, and he's spun around, and he's now down to P. He's only dropped to P6, but of course he's going to fall out of the pit stop. He's got Mr. C. Reese behind him to come around for that, but then you got Anthony Spy on a set of halves. He leading this pack here from everyone else. But you can't keep your eye off these front guys. They're all over the back of each other. Jesse on XD as DRS will be activated. They'll come across DRS. Will he be able to get moved on here? It looks like he's quite too far back for the time being, but a lot of drivers a few drivers coming to the pits there now, but Anton is still leading these guys as Short Marks tries to move into D1, but it won't quite work. Town defending against George in his first medium tyres. It works for the time being, but comes to the next corner. Will it still work? He's got more ERS than he does, but he is literally pushing him through these corners. He's got to go to the outside line, and it's not quite going to work for the time being, but he might try to switch back this driver. He does, and it's a beautiful switchback for George. George, what a switchback. He'll hold it around the outside. It'll be the inside line for the next corner, but Town's going to defend quite well for him there, so he doesn't have to worry about anything there. Under brakes, just a little bit of contact. He's going to try to the inside. Oh, he tries it, but it doesn't quite work, and it allows KRC to now get through on his set of soft tyres, and KRC will now have his turn at these drivers ahead of him. Wow, I thought that was going to be a beautiful move there from George for a second. I thought he was going to manage to do a beautiful switchback on Town and then do him on the inside and then the outside through there. But KRC flying on his off the second up on his personal best lap. XD still struggling to get within DRS range of H. Taylor. Jesse can't make the move there. SpongeBob meanwhile closing up to him, but Short Marcus on the back of Anthony's mind. This is the battle that we want to keep our eye on at the moment. This is the closest one, apart from those leaders up the front. Come through now. KRC is on the inside of Town. Will he get moved on? On his soft tyres, under brakes. Nice and easy, and he is through up into P8, and he's showing George Howard is done there. Chuck Bravas takes the fast lap with a 28.8 in his Scuderia Ferrari on this set of soft tyres. George is going to try to find himself through, but KRC coming back under attack now from Town, but Town can't quite do anything there, and he'll sit behind again for another lap. But these guys up front get, like I say it over and over again, we can't keep our eyes on them because something could happen at any second. Jesse, XD, these guys are being nice and close there. They're just kind of, looks like they're just kind of chilly at the moment, just trying to hold position, not fighting it too much. Jesse just waiting for those hard tires to switch on, because those hard tires, it won't be long before they switch on to those mediums, and he can start to push towards the likes of H. Taylor. If he stays where he is, if I was Jesse, I'd be staying where I am now, staying behind XD, wait till the last few laps, make the move, because H. Taylor has a 3 second, and that 3 second will drop him back further than he may think. He could find himself even all the way down to P4 if he gets unlucky. Jonathan, though, hasn't been able to hold on his centre hards as well as Jesse has, unfortunately. But these guys still going out at Casey on short marks on the inside, makes a nice easy move. He'll tuck him behind, and then he'll have he will then have DRS on Antonis By. So he's played it smart here. He's gonna have DRS on Antonis By, and he should quite easily sail past him. Both of them running low on ERS. He sees the right flashing. He goes to the inside line, under braking, and he'll get the move done as Troy sets the fastest time. He does a 27.6 on his centre soft time, so he steals the fastest lap. George picks up another 3 seconds in his LP, so he's gonna have to do a lot in order to get a decent position here. Troy still pushing behind his centre soft tires. You can see all those guys who pin onto centre softs off her mediums. Of course, KRC being the lead of them all, doing the best out of all of them. But then you got Troy, Chuck, Mr. Series, El Chacal, all those guys trying to push up further in this race. Exeter all over the back of Jesse here. He might, as Jesse's actually got it past, so like I say, you do miss stuff, and you can clearly see though those medium tires are definitely quicker still for the time being. It definitely was a softer medium share, like I said, but you know, some drivers like to pit early for the hards. Some drivers don't believe that will happen. Some drivers think the hards are better. Some are better on hards. So it really just depends on your driving style, what you believe happens, what you believe is right. As XD goes to the inside, under brakes on Jesse, and he'll find himself back up into P2 in this race, because Jesse back behind him is going to try to get him back here with a good exit. He might be able to do so. Mr. C Race picks up a 3 second time penalty for corner cutting, but Jesse coming back at him here. He's going to move to the inside line, under braking. XD on the outside, he's going to hold around the outside XD wheel, and then XD will hold on to position for the time being as Jesse lets him hold on to P2, and he'll suck him behind again and wait for further notice. Short mark is still going on. Enter the spy dropping right on back, and then Town, George right in the mix of this, and Town's around. Something's up to Town, and Town is around and spin from Town, and Town drops down to P10. Troy is going to come through, so he drops down to P11 in the end. Not what Town would have wanted. Unfortunate for the Mercedes driver as he drops down to P11 in this race, but George still flying on his centre medium tyres, although he's got a 6 second penalty. It isn't stopping him at all. He's going to try and switch back into the spy, but it isn't quite going to work that time around. He'll have to sit behind again and try this DRS. Sorry, Enter the Spy doesn't have DRS. This field is starting to split up a bit more as we get further into this race. George on the back of Enter the Spy with DRS, with a little bit of DRS, I'm sure, to the outside. It was an aggressive defense from Enter the Spy on the inside. He's going to cut the corner a bit, and George finds himself up to P8 in this race. George leads from Enter the Spy in P8. But further up, we've still got Jesse and XD going at it. H. Taylor still pulling a gap. He might actually be able to pull enough of a gap here to still win this race. He only needs 7 more tenths to gain, but of course, where it stands at the moment, he'll still finish P3 in this race. Amongst all this too, SpongeBob is starting to close up. Despite both those guys ahead having DRS, he's been pushing and he's been closing up to these guys, showing the pace he has. I said that he's always fighting around the midfield. Well, he's showing you that he's not a midfield driver. He fights at the top here, and he is a very quick driver indeed. He's trying to do what he can. KSC just sitting in clean at the moment. He's going to look to push towards Jonathan Cox, but I don't think he's going to get much more than P6 in this race. And the main race that we're going to be looking at now for the rest of this will be the lead. XD on Jesse as the rest of it has started to split up and split into their own races. Another race the William drivers would have wanted to be P14 and P50, so unfortunate for those guys, but H. Taylor still holding on very much, but the gap is coming down slightly. Jesse needs to just let XD do his thing, let XD to stay close to H. Taylor, and then go for the move towards the end of the race. That way you know you at least get position from H. Taylor, even if you don't get the win, because as it is now, if H. Taylor keeps gaining this gap, he won't even be able to get H. Taylor in this race, and he'll find himself staying P3. It's more worth staying behind XD and keep that gap steady, and then make sure you can get a definite P2 than fighting and then ruining it and only getting a possible P2, not a definite P2. But Jesse still are all over the back of him with DRS. For our sake of watching it, we want to see some fighting here, of course. He stays behind for the time being here. He can't quite look for a move that time around. He'll have to stick behind. But you can see that XD's light is flashing, and Jesse can see that. So Jesse knows he's running low on DRS, so he can push straight back past him in the next DRS zone if he needs to. All of this fighting is still allowing SpongeBob to try and close up. He hasn't done enough yet to close up close enough, unfortunately, but he's still pushing and doing what he can to get in DRS. If he gets in DRS range, we could see SpongeBob come into this fight and very much be contesting for what is also the win with H. Taylor's penalty. H. Taylor still trying to run away on his medium tires, but of course the hards starting to even out with the mediums now. It's to the point where those tires are very much worn, but again, it's not until very late in this race that the hards drop off. The hards can go very, very long, but the mediums would have started to drop off by now, as they only last around about 20 laps tops if you are good with your tires. And I do very much think you can make it last 20 laps. I thought Jesse was going to come in there for a second. That would have been bloody surprising as hell, but he doesn't. He stays out, and SpongeBob is still lurking behind him. He looks to the inside there. Can't quite get it done that time around. He'll stick behind for the time being, and he'll try again later on. But it's not the only Ferrari Mercedes fight going on. We still have Tan and Chuck behind. They're having a little battle. He'll try again into turn 3, but it's not quite going to work. But you got Chuck and Town further behind with DRS. Chuck on Town with DRS. ERS activated to the inside. He will go under brakes. Town isn't fighting too much, and he is through up into P11 in this race. The next driver is Exodus by not that far up the road. He's on a fresh set of softs, Chuck is, so he could very much head towards him. And Chuck entered his by, sorry, not too far off of Troye, despite Troye being on a set of softs. I'm sure he just got past, but then Troye is there 3 seconds from short Marcus, and the short Marcus with a DRS range of George. So I know I said that it was quite split up throughout the field, but it's not as split up as I would have thought. Now it's getting a bit closer. It's getting a bit more frisky now, as SpongeBob's still sitting just outside DRS range, 0.4 out, as they're actually closing up to H. Taylor here. I've just noticed this. They're closing a good gap to H. Taylor. This is what I'm talking about from Jesse. Stay behind XD, close that gap, and head towards H. Taylor, because now they're about to find themselves within DRS of H. Taylor. But of course the only problem with being within DRS range is he doesn't have that advantage on XD. He needs to keep XD out of DRS range, but then so that way he has a DRS advantage and you can go past, but he can't let it drop so far back to the point of where XD's or himself is 3 seconds off of H. Taylor, or getting close to that, because fighting and battling will drop him back even more. And then they have the issue of both of them missing out on the lead with H. Taylor's penalty. But if I was him, all I would be thinking about is not getting a penalty, staying behind at the moment. If I could get a P2, I wouldn't be mad at this point in the race, but it's just a matter of letting them do their thing and then try to find yourself up a few positions at the end of the race. I know it's better to have track position, but as I say that XD finally finds himself within DRS range of H. Taylor, this race is going to spice up, as Jesse's hards aren't as bad as they were so long ago. Anyone could win this race. It could be H. Taylor with his penalty. It is going to be difficult, but these guys could very much have warnings, as Hella High gets himself another 3 second time penalty for multiple warnings. XD though within DRS range now, and that is exactly what XD wants. XD with having H. Taylor with a 3 second time penalty can very much do what he can, as H. Taylor, he comes into the pits. H. Taylor's pitting. H Taylor's pitting off his mediums and they're not lasting or something. He's low on fuel too. H Taylor is pitting, and he's pitting onto a set of softs. He might just try to go for the fastest lap here, but I don't know why he's done that. He's pit, and he's now down to P5 in this race, so he's gonna go for the fastest lap. Trying to the fastest lap of whoever has it, but interesting decision by H Taylor, because he's now even dropped a place to KRC. So H Taylor gone from leading the race with a 3-second time penalty to now being P6, still with a 3-second time penalty. So I don't know what that choice was from H Taylor, but it was a very interesting one indeed to find himself P6 now with a 3-second time penalty. Of course, the car behind him, George, has 6 seconds, so he's got nothing to worry about there. But now this fight for the lead is very truly on. No need to give way now, Jesse. No need to look at H Taylor and his penalty. It's fully on now, and you just want that lead in the race. You've got the hard tires, you've got the fragile tires, and Jesse is very much going to be looking to get into the lead of this race no matter what. He's got to do what he can and all he can to do so. He's tucked behind XD at the moment. He's waiting, lurking behind. He was going to try on the front round imagine to get a move done. XD running on only 8% ERS, whereas Jesse's got 27%. He isn't using any on the straight. He's still sitting behind. He's saving ERS, I think, waiting to that last lap and then sailing past, going on to the last lap if he can do so. But he's not going to do it there. Of course, he's going to try to push XD into a mistake. It doesn't happen though. XD holds position just fine. Jesse's XD out there is quite poor, so he's gonna have to wait till the last lap. But he does use a bit of ERS there. I don't know why he uses it there, but he didn't use it on the straight. It's all gonna come down to the last lap for the win here today. It's gonna come down to the last lap. They might get it done on the very last lap, but it will most likely be front straight going into the last lap. If they can get it done on the second DRS zone, I'll be very, very surprised saving the the third DRS zone. I'll be very surprised saving that. It's quite short, and you gotta need a really good exit to get it done there. This is the third DRS zone that I'm talking about here. To get it done there as George gets another 3 seconds last second. He's now got 9 seconds of penalties in this Bahrain Grand Prix. Jesse though still heading on the back of XD. He's holding nice and close to him, holding within half a second. He only needs to be within a second of DRS, but coming towards the end of the lap now, on the penultimate lap of this race, they're going to be looking to give it everything here to win this race. Both drivers very capable. SpongeBob a bit too far back, but of course if they fight too much, tangle too much, and they get caught up, it could end very bad. It looks like XD there was trying to get the DRS slowly, but it didn't quite work with ERS. Both of them using all the DRS for Jesse. He's gonna go to the inside. But he's holding defensive, so he's forced to the outside line. XD has to cut back in. He'll try to get it back done again onto the next corner, but Jesse takes the lead for the time being on his set of soft tires, on his set of hard tires. Sorry, he'll tuck back in. As they H shows such a fast lap with a 27.2 DRS reactivate again for Jesse, who's for XD. He's going to try again to the inside, but it won't work to the inside. Unfortunately, he's going to have to stick behind again for the time being. SpongeBob still lurking behind a lot of drivers. He's going for moves behind as well. He's only one more DRS zone left, but Jesse still has more ERS than what XD does. Look just how close these drivers are. Both of them want the lead of this race. Both of them want the win here. They've got to come through onto the last DRS zone. I don't think a move will be done here. They've got to be much closer than what they are, and that's got to be it done for XD. Unfortunately, they're both using everything they can to stay ahead, just barely running on any ERS for the two of them, and it's that very much has got to be the race. That has to be Jesse with the win. He's driven beautifully this race. He's given it his all so far, but it's not over yet. ERS being activated for both drivers, and now it's very much going to be over through the last corner. As long as he keeps it clean, doesn't extend the track limits, nice and easy onto the straight. He's driven beautifully, and Jesse is going to win the Bahrain Grand Prix round 5 of OBF1 for the tier 1 as he crashes into the wall at the end in celebratory Jonathan Cox going to bring it home for P4. Great drive from him. Unfortunate on the hards. Couldn't really hold on. Hayes Taylor's going to bring it home for P5 with the fastest lap. Running out of fuel across the line. KRC might get in with his penalty, or doesn't quite do so. George P7, but he has a lot of penalties to remember. Sean Marcus goes up to P7 with George's penalty. Troy P8. Chuck Bravas, he's going to go up. He's going to finish P10. A lot more people drop with their penalties. Town P9, George P10, Exodus P11, Chuck P12, Mr. C Reese finished P13, and then El Chacal P14. What a race that was, with Jesse taking the win here at Bahrain from XD. Great drive. Troye, driver of the day, coming from last to I think it was P8. So good drive indeed from him. But with that being said, that is round 5 of OBF1 Tier 1, the Bahrain Grand Prix, over and done with, as the podium celebration. A great drive from everyone here we saw today, and it was Jesse winning from XD, from SpongeBob, who also drove very well. Cannot forget about him. He drove beautifully as well, nonetheless. And with that being said, that is round 5 of OBF1 Tier 1. We're at Bahrain for the Bahrain Grand Prix. But I'll catch you guys next time, and I will definitely be commentating that one if I wake up in time. But I'll catch you guys next time for round 6 at Spa Francorchamps. I suck at speaking. For Spa. Catch you guys next time for Spa round 6 for the Belgian Grand Prix, and I'll catch you guys then for that one.